Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am actually back again. Last video I told you guys that I am gonna discuss both the car and the flyer I made. But the flyer came first, so here it is. So if you guys haven't checked out the last video, please check it out. I would honestly appreciate it. And just like the last video, I will cover the technologies it has. Now the entire reason why I played Scrap Mechanic is because I discovered piston engines. It began with me watching Al Magma, Densav, Alstrak, and many more. So I bought Scrap Mechanic and played it, and this was my first ever piston powered car. Well, technically I did play Scrap Mechanic like around 2019, but we don't talk about that. This is also the time when I actually met a lot of people like Kine, Densav, Ben, or many more people actually. They gave me advices about mechanical creations in Scrap Mechanic. As time went by, my mechanical creations improved, and so as the technology we have. I witnessed the Nova being on the front of the workshop, Ben's cars when he was still making cars, and even Densav's cars before his collab, or marriage, with Ripsaw. And then we suddenly have pressure engines and transmissions with adjustable gear ratio, and no, it is not one of those transmission where actual gears are involved, where if you spawn one, you would have 15 FPS and you can only drive at 10 kilometers an hour. Most of you probably already know about this wonky transmission tech. You may have seen it or may not have seen it, but if you don't really find this technology in YouTube, but in the workshop, you will actually find one. As you may know, nowadays, the standards of speeds with piston engines significantly increased, mostly because of wonky transmissions, where people can use an inline-4 engines to reach speeds up to 200 kilometers per hour via blueprint editing. Well, this is made possible by blueprint editing. I may be exaggerating a bit here, but it's pretty crazy, and it's very much possible. Now, the car you're looking at right now isn't only a brick with a pressure engine and a wonky transmission, but I also gave extra technologies that is very similar to the Zenith, if not the same. Kine helped out a lot with this project of mine, so I added him as a contributor in the workshop. However, unlike the last videos, I won't be relying to him for explanations. Now, let's start off with the pressure engines. According to Fuzzball October 2023, when the pistons push insides of themselves, it generates a huge rebound force, and connecting it to a blueprint edited controller, it doesn't have a speed restriction, and so the force it makes is very high, which makes it continuously power itself without sensors. An average pressure engine should go up to 800 to thousands of horsepower, which you may think it's too much power. But that shouldn't be your problem. Your problem is the engine that creates precision with the car. If you set it up wrong, you'd basically have the engines collide with something. The handling would be bad, or engine stalling. But I guess that's one of the cons of having a high power piston engine in Scrap Mechanic. Oh no, not to mention it has an auto restart system when it stalls. But we will talk about that later. Now let's talk about the transmission. Well, the very important key to make your pressured power vehicle not only reliable but also faster? Well, you see, the stuff you've seen so far involves blueprint editing, and sadly the rest of the video will contain blueprint editing, a lot of it. And please don't click away from this video, I promise you it's gonna be worth it. Well, anyways, wonky transmissions only need 2 joints for its core component. With one bearing being a wonky bearing, it can be made possible with the blueprint editing, and then a joint that transfers 90 degrees. Well, not Celsius, I meant angle. This is made possible due to the wonky bearing. It allows us to rotate 90 degrees, and it transfers power continuously. And kaboom, you now have a transmission. And what about the gear ratio? Well, it is basically the mass between this block and this body. But keep in mind, this body, to be specific, has to be a perfect center of gravity. So let's say if we put any part here, it kind of malfunctions the transmission. So whatever is in the center of gravity, that is where you put the transmission or the wonk transfer. You usually use a mass measuring tool to know the mass, but if you manage to equal the mass, you'd have a 1-to-1 gear ratio. But if there's a weight difference between these two, you'd actually have a different gear ratio. So it's best to figure out yourself on what gear ratio you want to you specifically want. There is no physics explanation why, but the only thing I can say is scrap mechanic is broken as hell. Now, moving on, you may be wondering how this car manages to reach 325 kilometers an hour. Well, just like the Zenith, it has a very special suspension that maximizes traction to reach higher speeds. This isn't really a thing in real life, but in scrap mechanic, we are always traction limited no matter what, which is why most cars that uses 5x2 wheels are stuck at mostly 240 to 250 kilometers an hour. But with this technology, it prevents exactly that. Now, last but not least, we have the auto restart system. If you see the interior, there are both red lights, which you are very unfamiliar with, but this serves a purpose. The auto restart system is basically this sensor, and it is connected to a bunch of logic gates that we will call a memory bit that resets with a clock. It will detect whether if the engine is spinning or not, and if the lights in this dashboard it will indicate if the engine has stalled, and it will auto restart within a few hundreds of seconds. You may have think that this is a new technology, but it really isn't. This technology has existed and used in the Nova, well, since the Nova. And that's pretty much the tech on what this car has to offer. This car means a lot to me, and because it is literally currently one of the most advanced piston-powered vehicles in the workshop in terms of technology. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to make a car something like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.